Announcing the 2023 Prodigy Bowlers Tour Tournament of Champions. This tournament is open to all KCO champions who win their title in the featured divisions showcased this season on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. By the time the season is complete, we will have covered 10 KCO tournaments. September, October, November, December, January, then we missed the one in February because I was in the hospital, then the 2 tournaments in March, and the ones in April, May, and the KCO Invitational in June. That's 10 KCOs. At each event, we covered 2 divisions, Division 1 at each event, and then one other division in the undercard show each month. So we could have as many as 10 handicap champions and 10 scratch champions eligible to enter the Prodigy TOC. Well, we won't actually have 10 scratch champions. We've already had one multiple champion, but you get the idea. All the kids who have signed the coveted trophy pin are eligible to bowl in the Prodigy Tournament of Champions. Here's how it'll work. All these champions will bowl a 3-game qualifier. The handicap division will bowl with handicap of 75% of the difference between their average and 200. And the Division 1 winners will, of course, bowl scratch. The top 4 in the handicap division and the top 4 in the scratch division will claim guaranteed spots in their respective division stepladder finals. And the remaining kids who fail to finish in the top 4 will still have a chance to make the stepladder. They will then bowl a scratch wildcard round consisting of Prodigy's famous single ball eliminator format, where each player throws 1 ball per frame, with the player getting the low pinfall in the frame being eliminated. Then we move to the next frame and repeat the process until only 1 player is left standing. And that player will claim the 5th spot in the stepladder finals. So everyone will appear on the show and everyone will have a chance to win. Even the player who finishes last in qualifying can rally to grab the 5th spot in the wildcard round and go on a run. It's literally anybody's ball game. We'll crown a TOC champion in both divisions. The winner in the handicap division will be presented with the Hunter Moffitt Award, so named because Hunter won the very first handicap event telecast on Prodigy back in 2017. And the winner in the scratch division will be presented with the Charles Bostic Award, so named because Charlie won the most Prodigy events in our first season and won the first coveted trophy pin. Then, those 2 champions will face off in a single-game handicap match where the handicap bowler will receive pins in the amount of 75% of the difference between their entering average and 200, and the winner of that match will claim the 2022-23 coveted trophy pin. This unique format guarantees that one of the handicap players and one of the scratch players will be vying for the coveted trophy pin at the end of the day. We'll also present an award to the player that we select as the first ever PBAA, that's Prodigy Bowlers Across America, Player of the Year, determined by a vote of our Blue Ribbon panel and you. That's right, Prodigy viewers will get a vote in our selection. Stay tuned for details on how you can vote for the player you think should be honored as our first ever PBAA Player of the Year. It's a brand new format for the one major held each year on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. It's the 2023 Prodigy Bowlers Tour Tournament of Champions, Sunday, June 11th at Olathe Lanes East in Olathe, Kansas. That's 1 week after the KCO Invitational. If you're a youth bowler who's won a championship on Prodigy Bowlers Tour this season and signed the coveted trophy pin, you're eligible for the Prodigy TOC and will receive your invitation soon. So mark your calendar now for June 11th, 10 a.m. at Olathe Lanes East. It's the 2023 Prodigy TOC, the season's last hurrah. Who will claim the coveted trophy pin? Celebrating junior bowling, elevating junior bowlers. Prodigy Bowlers Tour welcomes you to episode 143, the 2023 Kansas City Open April Points Tournament Division I Championship Round. Today, Today, 5 players will meet in a series of head-to-head matches where the winner will keep climbing the stepladder as long as he keeps winning. In our opening match, the number 5 qualifier, Braylon Warren of Kansas City, Missouri, will take on our number 4 qualifier, Justin Preston of Lenexa, Kansas. The winner of that match will meet our 3rd qualifier, making his first appearance on Prodigy, Donovan Courtney of Moberly, Missouri. That winner will advance to face our number 2 qualifier, Nolan Nash of Greenwood, Missouri. And the winner of that match will bowl for the title against our tournament leader, Paul Stigall of Olathe, Kansas. Our top 2 qualifiers started fast, each firing 800s in their morning block. But only one of these 5 finalists can win it all today. For the second time in 3 months, the KCO visits Leavenworth, Kansas, which sits north and west of Kansas City, Missouri. We're at Crown Lanes, where bowlers are greeted by a giant dinosaur on Spruce Street, right outside the bowling center. We missed the February points tournament that was held here because I was in the hospital recovering from injuries I sustained in my January car accident. So this was a trip I was especially looking forward to making, even more now that I have a new car to replace the one I totaled. Yay! 115 bowlers went through qualifying in 5 divisions to try to qualify for their respective stepladder finals. Today, we're bringing you the action in Division 1. That's the group of bowlers with averages of 200 and higher. This is the 1 division of the KCO that bowls scratch. In the KCO points tournaments, each player bowls 6 games of qualifying, 3 in the morning, 3 in the afternoon, before we cut to the final 5. And here's how the Division 1 qualifying round shook out. As you can see, quite a number of the 20 players in Division 1 wasted no time in establishing themselves as a formidable threat to be in contention at the end. As we mentioned earlier at the top of the show, Paul Stigall fired an 822 in his opening block. And Nolan Nash, who won the last KCO in Division 1 and is coming off a win at last month's Heart of America Classic, kept his momentum going with an 804 in his first 3 games this morning. In fact, our other 3 finalists, Donovan Courtney, Justin Preston, and Braylon Warren, all threw down the gauntlet by firing series of 700 and higher to kick off the tournament this morning. The only player in the Division 1 field who made a huge move up in the afternoon block was Joshua Oldham, who was in dead last after the morning block, but he recovered with a 657 in the afternoon to make it a respectable showing, even if it wasn't quite what he had in mind. But no one was able to bump any of the top 5 out, and they all held their position through the afternoon block. Which brings us to match 1 of today's championship round, pitting our number 5 qualifier, Braylon Warren, against the number 4 seed, Justin Preston. Both of these young men have been on Prodigy once before. Braylon qualified for the stepladder in January and won his opening match against Fiona West in dramatic come-from-behind fashion before falling to Antonio Miranda in the next match. And Justin Preston made the Division 2 show in November in Lawrence, winning his first match against Olivia Cora before finishing second to the winner that day, Fiona West. Braylon's a powerful 2-hander, and Justin is a smooth-stroking 1-hander who can really make the pins dance. This will be a real contrast in styles. Justin was the higher finisher in qualifying, so he had the choice of starting lanes, and he has elected to let Braylon start the match. And Braylon goes right to work with a powerful strike in the opening frame. One thing you'll notice right away is that Braylon really zips that ball down there. I mean, he is really throwing fastballs. Justin, on the other hand, just kind of floats the ball out there, lets it do most of the work. Both methods, very effective, as long as you're properly lined up and you're executing. And obviously, both of these young players are, or they wouldn't be here. And Justin shakes him up with a light hit. Catches the wall shot, and we're off and running, both players with a strike to begin the match. You saw Justin on Prodigy Bowlers Tour once before when he made the stepladder finals in Lawrence back in November. He was Division II at that time. He's kind of bounced back and forth between Division I and Division II this season. But he's in Division I right now, and he's going to have his hands full with Braylon Warren. But he rips the rack and puts our first double up on the board today. Take another look at it. 5-step approach. Hits the line in perfect balance. I've never seen Justin out of balance at the line. That 5-pin just rips right over there to take out the 7. Perfect swisher. All right, Braylon going to try to match that double. Boom! Braylon Warren, who has committed to play Division II football at the University of Central Missouri this fall, the Mules. Here's his approach. Comes right up the back of the ball. And just powers them off the lane. Those pins have no chance. He carries a 224 league average. High game, 299. I wonder what pin had the audacity to deny him on the last ball. Crunch. So he's got the turkey out of the gate. Here's his footwork. 5-step approach. Big drift to the left with that 3rd step, like we see a lot of two-handers. And you just can't do it any better. Justin, a completely different way of bowling, but he has obviously had success at it. He too a 299 high. And he shreds the rack again. Justin wants to be an architectural engineer when he grows up. Might as well set your sights high for a career that'll pay you good money. Look at how close that ball is to his ankle, and it's not only under his head, it's actually a little inside to the left. That's even better than under your head. You get even more leverage. And there's the result. That half pocket hit sends the 5-pin over to the left side of the rack to do the damage. We are perfect through 3 frames. Oh, this time that 5-pin just kind of died in front of the 7. Didn't quite get it. Good shot. But he'll have the 7-pin to shoot. I can tell you that on the pair to our right on lanes 17 and 18, that's Division II. And we'll give you the results of their stepladder finals when we get to the end of the show today. Justin covers that 7-pin with ease. You'll also see some action, a couple of pairs over to our left. That's the practice pair for any of the kids in any of the 5 stepladders who are waiting to bowl. They can stay loose over there on the practice pair. Braylon going for his 4th strike. Oh, man. Right through the heart. And somehow they all caved in. Well, you throw it as hard as Braylon does, and it's almost like they get caught in a vortex and just get swept back to the pit. Watch this. That ball is going to be right on the head pin. The 4, 7, 10 go out late. You know you got it going when you can carry those hits. Justin plays defensive end, so he's used to
sacking quarterbacks. He's sacking some strikes today. Oh! He threw that one so hard it was almost a 5-10. Well, you got to let the ball do some of the work. You can't just throw it as hard as you can down there. It won't react quite the way you want it to. That ball actually deflected around the 5-pin, but only because he threw it so hard. He'll go cross lane at the 10. He's had some problems with spares on Prodigy before, but no problem with the 10-pin there. Both players with just one spare so far, all the rest strikes. Justin, in addition to bowling, he also plays baseball. Oh, man. He threw one right over the plate that time and was denied a good result. Stone 8. The only true tap in bowling. But an easy spare. Just move your feet 2 or 3 boards to the right of your strike position. Throw your strike ball right over your strike target, and you will cover the 8. Just like that. Justin with a few tournament wins to his credit. He's won a KCO before. I believe that was in Division II, if I'm not mistaken. He's won the Heart of America, or HOA as they call it. And he won the Kansas City Youth Open. 18 years old. This is his last year in youth bowling. And that's what I'm talking about, just letting that ball float out to the right and just let it climb right back into the pocket. That wasn't the most powerful strike in the world, but you get that ball to do some of the work for you. Look at this. That foot is perpendicular to the foul line. The ball is right next to his ankle for maximum leverage. And that 10-pin just got caught in the crossfire between the 6-pin and some other traffic over on that side of the lane. Now Braylon up on the right lane. Look at those pins just get steamrolled, man. Wow. Watch this one again. Right in the 1-3 pocket, and they just have no prayer. He rips out the 10 that time. The 6-pin tomahawks it out. And this is as good as we've seen Braylon Warren bowl on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. On the questionnaire I give all these kids, one of the questions is, what do you want to be when you grow up? Braylon wrote, successful. I love that answer. Another ripper. Justin slow rolling it compared to the rocket that Braylon is firing down there. Watch this. He just lets it float out to the right, and then it catches the dry part of the lane, and here it comes. I don't know what knocked over the 10, but All it wanted to do was get out of the way. Got a feeling this one may come down to the very end. Another strike. Well, Justin bowled well in Lawrence when he was on the show before, but that was Division II. Let's look at these two side by side. We can get an idea as to just the difference in speed. We'll sync it up so that they both hit the line at the same time. And now watch. Braylon's ball will get to the pins much quicker than Justin's. But you know what? It's not how, it's how many. Right now, there's just one pin separating these two. Oh, man! If the messenger didn't get it, the 6-pin was gonna. Wow. Let's see this one again. Watch the 6-pin, the second one from the right. It'll lay down in the gutter, and then it'll chop out the bottom of the 10-pin, but in case it missed, here comes the messenger. One way or the other, he was not going to be denied on that shot. Gotta love a match that comes down to the 9th and 10th frames. Oh! How in the world did the 7 stay up? I think that's the question Braylon is asking himself. Good heavens. Well, about the only answer I can come up with is sometimes when you hit them so hard, they tend to fly up. If you can keep those pins lower, they'll tend to take out more pins on their way back to the pit. But there's a spare. And now Justin Preston, with a strike in the 9th, can even the match. Heading into the final frame. He'll take a little extra time on this one. You can see he takes a big deep breath, lets it out. I just love this guy's game. It's so graceful, everything in the proper position, and that's the result you get. And we'll get a second look at that one. You can't do it any better. Straight back, straight through, beautiful swing, excellent balance, maximum leverage. This kid's got a game you could copy. You could do a whole lot worse. Now 2 more strikes in the 10th, and he can shut out Braylon Warren. Oh, but the shaker won't get the 7. So he leaves the door open, so now there's nothing Justin can do to shut out Braylon. So he just needs to cover this and get all he can on his fill ball. All right, there's a spare in the 10th. That'll give him 227 in the 9th. A strike in the 10th would give him 247. Braylon would need to strike on his first ball in the 10th and then spare to shoot 248. So count on this ball is really important. Well, 9, that's going to be 246. So it comes down to this. Braylon, if he goes 9, spare, strike, he wins by 1. If he gets 8 on his first ball, he would have to make it strike on the fill ball for a tie. If Braylon would happen to get 7 or less on this ball, he loses. If he gets a strike on this ball, he would only need 9 in 2 balls to win. Oh, and that was the best of all the options for Braylon. So now that makes his job a little easier. He's got 2 shots to get 9 pins to lock down the win. Another one just buried deep in the pocket. Must get 9 pins on 2 balls to win. And he gets the 9 on the first ball, and that takes care of it. And he's the winner in a close opening match today. He just threw that one down the middle and hoped for the best. With a spare, it's a 248. And there it is, a 248 to 246 win for Braylon Warren. And so he is moving on to match 2. Coming up, our first look at Donovan Courtney making his first appearance on Prodigy when we return.
Well, you just can't ask for a much better match than the one we just saw. 8 strikes by Braylon Warren, 7 strikes by Justin Preston. 2 clean games, neither player making any huge mistakes. It came down to the 10th frame, and if Justin could have carried just 1 more strike, he might have been the one advancing. But by the narrowest of margins, it's Braylon Warren who takes match 1. And now he's climbed the stepladder to match 2, where he'll face Donovan Courtney. This is Donovan's first appearance on Prodigy Bowlers Tour, and just his second appearance at the Kansas City Open this season. He finished 13th at the March Points Tournament in Olathe. So obviously, no matter what happens here, this'll be his best finish at the KCO. Braylon Warren, on the other hand, obviously feels right at home here at Crown Lanes. He was the qualifying leader here in February when he finished second. And today, he'd like to keep his momentum going and improve on that previous runner-up finish. But I suspect Donovan Courtney has other ideas. And with a powerful strike like that to start the match, you can understand why. Wow. Watch this. Everything in good position at release. Good balance. Down they go. All right, Braylon, first ball of the match on the right lane. And there goes the 10. Thank you, Messenger. He was a little out of balance when he let it go. I don't know, he may have stuck at the line, but watch it again here. Look at where his fingers are. They are so far under the ball. He has ginormous paws. The better to rip the 10 out with.
There was a Chiefs player that played for the Kansas City Chiefs back in the 60s named Ernie Ladd, who had the nickname the Big Cat. I think that name might apply to Braylon Warren, too. I might call him Big Cat, too. Watch this. He knew it was good. He's just waiting for the result. Oh, wow. Donovan trips out the 4, 7, 9, 10. That's like a magic trick. Watch this. He's got that ball either under his head or just inside of it. Ball right next to his ankle. That is just ideal position at release. And he just gets him to go down. Uh-oh. Not so fortunate this time. Crowds the head pin a little bit and leaves the 4-9. Here's how you make it. Put the ball over on the left side of the 4 and slide it over into the 9. I was just about to comment about how these pins seem lighter than air. They're pretty new pins. They've only been in for about 6 or 8 weeks. They're twister pins, which is a synthetic bowling pin. But it has the double void on the inside like the wood pins. And the twister pins used to have this little tinky sound like a kid's Lincoln Logs. I hated the sound of them, but these actually sound more like bowling pins. So they've obviously made some change in how they manufacture them. But now an opening for Braylon to pounce on. Oh, whoa! Nearly a 7-10. The messenger takes out the 10. He'll have just the 7. Tell you what, though, if you were going to look for somebody to bounce one out, shooting at a 7-10, I can think of no one in the KCO field more qualified to bounce a pin out than the Big Cat here. There's the spare. Well, Braylon says he got started bowling when his dad bought him his first bowling ball at the age of 8. He started bowling at 8. He didn't actually start bowling youth league until he was 15. So you'd have to say he's made a lot of progress in a very short amount of time. Now that one cuts right through the nose, and lucky he didn't leave something worse than just the 3-6. Now I like to see the kids move way left on the approach to shoot the 3-6. It cuts down on the angle that could chop the 3 off the 6, but he's going down the right side. Gets away with it. So the lead is 11. Donovan will try to get another little string of strikes started right here. Oh! Well, that's the second time we've seen that today, the Stone 8. And that's a fine how do you do. Donovan says his favorite pro bowler is E.J. Tackett. And that's a pretty good role model to have if you want to build a competitive bowling game. Make short work of the 8-pin, as I would expect. This young man is 17 years old, so he'll have one more year of youth bowling, as he won't turn 18 until after the 2023-24 bowling season starts on August 1st. His birthday falls in October. Just a pinch high. Almost had the 4-9 again, but trips out the 4. And you get the sense that he's starting to feel a little frustration. Just got to show a little patience here. Cover the spare. No problem. Now let's see if Braylon can get back on the strike train. On his last appearance on Prodigy, he won the first match, but then ran into trouble in the second match. Nice little shaker there. I tell you what, you get lively pins like these twister pins on a pin deck that is built for high speed action by the bowling pins. And you get some lively kickbacks as well, which this house seems to have. And you're going to see some high scores. Oh, I thought he pulled that one. He did, really. But it set in the oil, and that was almost like a fade shot that just stayed in the oil and just landed perfectly in the pocket. Like in all Kansas City Opens, we're bowling on the house shot, but they only run the lanes once in the morning before the morning block of qualifying matches. So we're bowling on the burn. So if you don't know how to play inside like these players are doing, you're going to have trouble scoring in the stepladder finals at the KCO. Pretty tight line he's playing. Right in the hole. Needs another one to cut the lead to 12. Make it a match. Oh, that was close. Just cut a little too much into the nose at the very end. But that could have tripped both the 4 and 7, but instead it just tripped the 4. So he's unable to cut into Braylon's lead. But he covers the spare. Don't want to be giving those away. And now all Donovan can do is hope that Braylon cools off just enough to give him a chance to fight back in the closing frames. But Braylon has other plans. Another solid strike. And he increases his lead to 32 pins. And this guy looks just about unstoppable today. See, he doesn't get around the side of the ball. He lifts straight up and through it. And that gives the ball a very penetrating roll as it goes through the pins. Not a lot of deflection on Braylon's bowling ball as it makes its way through the pin deck. And that time, he kicks out the 8 and 10 late. I'm telling you, if you or I had thrown a ball on that same trajectory with that speed, we'd have left the 8-10. Watch this. That ball's going to hit the half pocket, and there's the 8 and 10. The last ones to go. He was playing deep in the lane in the oil, threw it a little too hard, but with his power, he still carried the strike. Wow. Donovan comes in light, and you can really see the frustration starting to set in on his face as the lead is 44, and he just can't seem to find a double. Right now, he'd just like to find a strike. But he will settle for that spare for the time being. Braylon going at a 2:37 pace. The best Donovan can do is 2:13. So he needs to take it off the sheet and hope Braylon makes a mistake or two. But instead, it's the big four for Donovan. The 4, 6, 7, 10. A split we used to call the double pinochle when I was growing up. I still call it the double pinochle sometimes, but I just did. There you go. Just take two of them, throw it hard, hope something bounces out. But he just gets one of them, so he short counts it, 7 out, and that's just about all she wrote for Donovan Courtney today. He can still fire 186. If Braylon fouls on the rest of his shots, he'll have 177. So all he needs to do is keep this ball in the center of the lane, and he can take a victory lap. There's another strike, and he's just punched his ticket to match 3. Here's the shutout ball. Now, Braylon doesn't swing that ball as close to his ankle as some of these kids, but Braylon is built a little thicker. You know, he's a football player, for crying out loud. So it's not gonna work quite the same, but he gets plenty on it. Goes through the nose, leaves the 3-pin here in the 10th, but he is gonna finish in the 240s if he covers this spare. And that'll do. And Donovan sitting there in his chair watching this thinking, I don't know what I could have done any different. Goodness gracious. He throws it wider than normal that time. It looked like it was going to hook early, but he threw it so hard it held line, and he finishes with 246, does Braylon Warren. So Donovan will just go through the motions of finishing out the match. And at this point, I think he just wants to get it over with so he can get in the car and head home. A spare and a strike on the fill will give him 176. And that would be a 70-pin defeat. But instead, he gets 9 out, and he will finish with a 165. And Braylon Warren is 2 for 2 so far. He's heading to match 3, where he'll face Nolan Nash, who won on our last Division I show.
That's back-to-back 8-strike games for Braylon Warren, who might just have the most devastating strike ball we've seen since Prodigy Bowlers Tour moved to Kansas City. Donovan Courtney kept things close in the first half of that match, but when Braylon put up a 5-bagger while Donovan was having a hard time getting so much as a double in the second half of the match, well, Braylon just left him behind in a cloud of dust. So, it's Braylon Warren who advances to match 3, and that sets up a most intriguing contest between Braylon and our number 2 qualifier, Nolan Nash. These two players hold nothing back, and they can overpower a lane about as well as anyone you'll ever see. Nolan began the day with an 804 series this morning, and Braylon is in dead stroke on this pair of lanes and in this same house where he qualified first in February and would love to make amends for squandering that opportunity to claim his first KCO Division I crown. You might want to strap in while you're watching this match, or you're liable to get sucked in by the backdraft. Both of these players just throw the heck out of the ball. I guess that's the best way of saying it. There's going to be some shrapnel this game. Braylon starts with a ripper. Here it is again. He'll hit that half pocket. And the 5-pin will go flying to the left. The head pin will come back off the left wall, and, well, down they go. Now Nolan. Oh, man! Goes through the nose, and he trips the 4-7. And I think there might have been something else over on the right side of the lane that was a little slow to drop. Watch it again. Full extension through the release. Yeah, he had the 4-6-7 standing. 7 was the last one to go, but go it did. Couple of strikes to start. But this time the 10 refuses to cooperate, so Nolan, the first one to leave a pin standing. He has had one heck of a season at the KCO. He's made 5 stepladders on Prodigy alone. He also made the stepladder in February, but we weren't there to cover it. He finished first last month at the Adult Youth Doubles Tournament at Aaron's Family Fun Center in Belton, Missouri. So Nolan going for 2 in a row at the KCO. Braylon looking to go 2 in a row in this match, starting with 2 strikes. But he too runs into 10-pin trouble. Almost inconceivable how a player who throws as strong a ball as Braylon does, or Nolan for that matter, could ever leave a weak 10, but that's what that was. Where the 6-pin just dies in the gutter. Now, as I mentioned earlier, he has had spare trouble before on Prodigy. But he covers that 10-pin with authority this time, and both players start strike spare. He says his best moment in bowling was an undefeated high school bowling season. Now, he lives in Missouri, goes to Park Hill High, so it's just a club activity in Missouri, but still. Oh! Well, that's not what you need. Right through the nose and the 4-6. Well, as I mentioned earlier, if anybody is capable of bouncing one out, it would be the big cat. Let's see what he can do with the 4-6.
Well, that pin bounced around in the back, but it didn't come out. So, it's an open frame. Now, Nolan Nash, who says he wants to be a bowler when he grows up, he might just do it. Throws enough shots like that, who's going to tell him no? Sure won't be me. Let's take another look at that shot. Nolan, a four-step approach. See, the two-handers get that ball right under the head as well. Ball close to his ankle. Excellent position. If there's one thing I'd want to be mindful of with him is don't pull up through the shot. Stay down through the shot. But I tell you what, it's hard to argue with his result. What happens when you pull up sometimes, if you pull up a little bit before the ball is off your hand, you can pull it left of target. Here's his footwork. He's a planter, not a slider. Over 17 at the arrows, out to about 7 at the break point. 10 back. Oh, and Braylon gets the 4-pin to wiggle, but it's just a 9 count. And he'll have to shoot the spare. You gotta wonder if maybe the lane's starting to transition a little bit where he's playing them. Might need to move. Oh! Well, an old problem rears its ugly head again. A missed single pin spare as he hooks by the 4-pin. And you cannot afford to do that when you're bowling Mr. Nash. Oh, another 4-6. That's back-to-back 4-6s on lane 15. And I'm sure he could have done without that. And he just ticks the 6-pin. It's another open. And the lead is now 45, and Nolan can start freewheeling it. You get a player like this who's been throwing strikes like crazy all day. Started the day with an 804. And now he's got 4 strikes in the first 5 frames of this match. And you just give him an opening, and he's just going to stay loose and just make shots like that. That'll make him very difficult to beat. 55-pin lead just halfway through the game. He liked it when he let it go, but it didn't quite finish. The 6-pin refuses to cooperate. The 10-pin is left. And now Nolan, who has proven himself to be a good spare shooter, covers the 10. And now Braylon's got his work cut out for him. A 54-pin deficit with 5 frames left to go. And he hasn't thrown a strike since the first frame. Sets his feet carefully. You've got to believe he's probably made a move. Oh, yes, he did. Moved his feet left a little bit. Get that ball in the oil on the front half of the lane. That was the perfect move to make. Sometimes it's a bit of a guess when you're moving. But he guessed right that time. He was looking down at his feet here. I'm sure he's moved on this lane as well. Well, that probably would have gone for him in the previous match. Seemed like everything was going for him. But in this game, the tables have turned. Look out. Oh, boy. Well, he's seen this movie before and knows how it ends. And he doesn't like the ending. And I don't blame him. I feel your pain, Braylon. Nolan, on a roll. You know, I saw this same hit earlier in the day in qualifying. Somebody tripped the 4-9, but instead of knocking the 4 into the 9, they got something to knock the 9 into the 4. This is really unusual. Watch this. What hits the 9? I think that's the 3-pin that comes off the wall and knocks the 9 forward into the 4. How about that? He must be living right, is all I can say. Here's another look at it. We'll get his reaction to this one. A little off balance. That's why it went high. He loved it. Thank you very much to the bowling gods. That's more like it. And now a 76-pin lead, and all Braylon wants to do is finish and go home. He's had a good day. There he gets the 10-pin out. Little love tap. He's like, I could have used that earlier. Watch the 6-pin, the second one from the right. It'll go to the gutter and just lean into the 10 and just trip it out. Possible 183. It's not going to be enough. Oh boy. Well, I wonder how long it's been since Braylon left the 5-7. With his rev rate and all the power, I bet he doesn't see this split very often. Too much 5. It's another open frame, and he's had a few too many of those. That's 5 open frames in 9 frames, and well, this match is in the win column for Nolan Nash, who will just try to stay in stroke. Good strike. Slapping out the 10. It is fun to bowl when you're in dead stroke like Nolan is right now. Just every ball you throw is just gets all the good breaks. It could have been a 10-pin, but instead he kicked it out. Yeah, that was only going to be a strike. He can finish with 259. You know, it just seems like after Nolan won the adult youth tournament in March at the KCO, and then he won the March HOA, it's just loosened him up. He's just super confident. And all Braylon can do is just sit back and watch and admire this. It's quite something. Another excellent shot. He's just executing at a very, very high level. This is as good as we've seen Nolan Nash bowl this year on Prodigy. He loves it. He's in the 250s. Fill it up here for 259. Just like that. And even Braylon has to applaud that game. 10 strikes. Any questions? Yeah. They start to come a little easier when all the pressure is off. He has struck every ball on the right lane since the 6th frame. And he made a slight adjustment over there. Just couldn't get the left lane dialed in to his satisfaction. Another good strike. He's going to finish strong. He should hold his head high. 3rd place is always a good finish, even if it isn't what you'd hoped for. Trip out that 9, why don't you, Braylon? 151, he would have liked to have had about 110 more than that. But he finishes with a flurry. But it's Nolan Nash who's moving on to bowl for the title today against our tournament leader, Paul Stigall. Hello, Prodigy Land. It's me, Coach Randy. I was recently invited to be the guest on the world's #1 bowling podcast, Phantom Radio, hosted by Len Nicholson. He's the longtime lane maintenance director for the PBA's national tour. Len's been doing this podcast for over 20 years, and his list of guests on the show reads like a who's who of bowling. Just in the last 9 months or so, he's interviewed people like Carmen Salvino, one of the PBA's founding members, Del Warren, the lead instructor at Kegel, Larry Lichstein, the PBA's longtime director of player services and a PBA Hall of Famer, Kim Terrell-Kearney, Hall of Fame bowler and college bowling coach. And the list goes on and on. Well, Len learned of what we're doing with Prodigy Bowlers Tour, and he invited me on the show to tell the Prodigy story. And I wanted to invite you to check out his podcast. So go to www.kegel.net/phantom. The episode where I appeared is the March 29th episode, and you'll see all the other episodes listed there all the way back to August. Plus, Len Nicholson has also asked me to spread the word about his brand new Phantom Radio Junior Bowling Club. It's free to join, and there'll be free prizes, instruction, and you might hear your name on the Phantom Radio podcast. To sign up, go to kegel.net/phantom and look for the link to join the club. We now return you to our regularly scheduled program, already in progress. I know Braylon Warren was disappointed that he was unable to keep his momentum going. But a couple of 4-6 splits and 2 blown single-pin spares cost him big time. But even more than that, when your opponent is dropping a cool little 10-strike 259 on you, well, it doesn't leave you much wiggle room. So Braylon should take away from this experience a huge dose of satisfaction that he had a good ride, and 3rd place is never anything to sneeze at. But meanwhile, Nolan Nash looks like a young man on a mission. He's about as locked in as you can be.
So we're in for what promises to be an explosive championship match between the two players in our field who both opened the tournament this morning with 800 series. Nolan Nash with an 804 and our tournament leader Paul Stigall with an 822. If Nolan can stay locked in and Paul can find the same magic he had in the morning block today, we could be in for a memorable match. Both of these young fellas with at least one, and in Nolan's case, 2 more years of youth bowling before they age out. He picks up where he left off. Another solid strike. Starting to sound like a broken record. Watch it again. 4-step approach. Over about the 4th arrow, out to about 11. Can't place it any better. All right, Paul Stigall. Different kind of game here. Well, that one breaks too much. Goes through the nose. Lucky to leave just the 10-pin. Throws it a little slower than Nolan. I only saw him throw a couple of balls during qualifying. I'm not sure he's throwing it with quite the same speed he did this morning. But he covers the spare. This young fella bowls league with us over at Olathe Lanes East. He's a junior in high school and has plans to go to Baker University and bowl. If he throws any more 822s, they'll be knocking down his door to get to him. Crosses over, leaves somewhat unusual 6-9 spare. He does throw a plastic ball at his spares, so this is one you wouldn't be too afraid of chopping. Unless you just pull it, clip off the 9-pin, but he covers it easily. So, spare. He is in unfamiliar territory. His only appearance at the KCO this year was in March. At the points tournament, he finished 18th in Division II. Oh my goodness. He turns around to Adam Crouch, our director of research, and says, "Will that one get a replay?" You know it will. Here it is. He is right on the head pin, and watch this. How did he do this? The 4-pin gets the 6. You don't see that every day. But I'll tell you what, you do see this every day if you watch this kid bowl. Wow. He got all the shots working for him. Here's his footwork once again. Ball close to his ankle, just like I like to see it. High flush. All right, Paul's got to go to the whip here. Well, that's 3 shots in a row. He's gone through the nose. Might be time to move left. Six pin, cross lane at it, using the plastic ball. Easy peasy. Says his best moment in bowling was when he placed 6th at state. I'm sure he's referring to high school bowling and the individual competition. That's pretty juicy to finish 6th in the state.
And once again, cutting sharply on the back end. And I don't know if he's just not throwing it as hard as he was throwing it earlier in the day, or if he just needs to move some more. He's just not throwing it hard enough to allow the ball to hold its line. Or he needs to move left. There is some oil out on the lane, but you got to move left to be in it. I'm told he doesn't have a weaker ball he can go to. Well, that might help, but you can still move left. They're not going to go every time. 9 and a wiggle is all you're going to get this time, young man. The 9-pin stubbornly refuses to fall. And it's still wiggling. Just saying, come and get me. And he does. All right, let's just run down what Nolan has done at the KCO this year. He finished first last month at the March Youth Adult. At the March Points Tournament, he qualified second, finished third. In February, here at Crown Lanes, when we didn't cover the tournament, he qualified third, finished third. 10th in January, 10th at the Youth Adult in December, 7th in November, 2nd in October, and he qualified first and finished second in September. I'd say this guy has his fingerprints all over the stepladder finals this year. And he's already got one win, and now he's going for back-to-back. That's pretty heady stuff. And there is another slapped out 10-pin for another strike. And Paul, once again, sees his ball just cut through the middle of the rack. Could have been a split. Had the 6-10 standing. The 6 drops. Now he's got the 10-pin. He's clean so far. Let's keep it that way. He's a pretty good spare shooter, I'd say. But I think in this match it's going to take more than spares to crack the code. He's going to have to get some X's up on the board if he wants to be there at the end against Nolan Nash. Well, once again, through the nose, and you can tell it's wearing on him. Now he's staring at the 6-7 split, and good luck with this. It's about a 15-to-1 shot for the pros. You can make it, slide the 6 over into the 7. Got to hit it right there. There's not a lot of wiggle room on this shot. Well, he gave it a run, but it's an open frame, and that will grow Nolan's lead to 37 pins. Now, a reminder once again that the action to our right on lanes 17 and 18, that is Division 2. And we'll let you know how their stepladder played out when we get to the very end of the show, so stick around for that. Nolan just zeroed in and just repeating shot after shot. Quality shots, man. He's bowling well. Watch it again. A big stretch through the release. I love his follow-through. I'd just like to see him stay down a little bit more. If he's going to get in trouble, it'll be from pulling it left, and I think that'll come from rearing up at the foul line. But he's staying down just long enough to let it go today. And he is a striking machine today. Here is the split screen of that last shot. You'll see the ball go through the pins as you watch his reaction. Ho-hum. Just another day at the office. There you go. That time Paul moved far enough to the left with his feet. Gave that ball enough room to the right. Let's take another look at his game. 5-step approach. You see how he keeps that ball and his right elbow close to his body. Ball is right under his head at release. We talk about it all the time. This is ideal. And he's in perfect balance at the line. Left foot perpendicular to the foul line. He checks all the boxes. I tell you what, he hasn't bowled a bad game. He's just been playing the lanes incorrectly. And that time it just finishes a little too late. And that may have been a function of him not having a weaker ball. When we talk about a weak ball, we don't mean a ball that doesn't hook as much. We mean a ball that'll scoot down the lane farther and store the energy longer before it makes its move left to the pocket. And that last shot he threw, that strike ball, it started to climb to the pocket and then it just flattened out at the end. And that's a ball that uses up its energy a little too soon. That's the sign of a ball that's a little too strong for the lane conditions that he's bowling on. He knows he hasn't got the right equipment in his bag today. That's unfortunate. But I'll tell you what, Nolan Nash does. He's had all the answers. Every time he threw a ball that might not have been so great, he either got the break and struck anyway, or he made just the right adjustment on his next shot, and he has just been steady as she goes today. 8 frames, 7 strikes, and a 67-pin lead in the 9th frame. Well, just as I say all of that about him, he leaves the 4-9. But guess what? That 8 count was enough to get him past the threshold. He has won the championship. And now, if he wants to have a little fun, he can try and make the 4-9. Although it does not matter. He's already got the title banked. Well, that's not going to make the 4-9, but he doesn't care. So Paul Stegall will just chalk this up as a learning experience. His high game in his life, 289, which was his first game this morning. His 822 that he bowled this morning. His high lifetime series, there's another pocket hit. His previous high, 765. So he topped that going away. The only thing this kid lacks is the kind of tournament experience that some of these other players we see enjoy. And he lets that one get away in the moat, so that's going to reduce his possible score to 180 if he gets 3 strikes here in the 10th, although it's kind of academic at this point. Well, he came in like a lion this morning with 822 out of the gate, but he's going to go out like a lamb. The best he can shoot is 170 with a spare here and a strike on the fill ball. Not the final match that he wanted to bowl, that's for sure. Just one strike in this match. But he now knows he can get there. He has now bowled for a championship in a big tournament. It's an 8 count to finish, so he's gonna end the day with a 168, a far cry from that 289 that he started with. But second place is not nothing. But Paul Stegall is just another victim on the long road that is littered with victims of Nolan Nash. Goodbye, 10-pin. As if you were even thinking of standing. See that one again. It's the head pin that's going to do the damage. Watch it. It'll go to the left wall. Here it comes. Oh, the 6-pin actually got the 10 before the head pin could get to it. How about that? And he does it again. Yeah. It will be another replay, Nolan. You are correct, sir. We have to see that again. Through the nose. The 2 knocks the 7 into the 9. The 3 comes off the right wall, bounces off the 9, and it's the 3 that takes out the 4. Now that is some unique pin action. Wow. He's got all the shots today. This for a 245. Very, very impressive. Back-to-back 10-strike games for Nolan Nash, who has now won in back-to-back KCOs. Well, we'll visit with him, and you'll get to hear from him after this. Well, it wasn't the close match that I'd hoped it might be, and I know Paul Stegall was less than thrilled with the way he bowled, but I think when he goes back and watches this video, he'll realize he didn't throw the ball badly at all. He was just playing the lanes incorrectly. He needed to be a little farther left on the lane to get the ball to scoot down lane a little longer before making its move to the pocket. But I see Paul has already entered in the Division I field at the KCO May Points Tournament in St. Joe. And you never know, he might be right back in position to have a chance to win that one. But today, on this pair of lanes, it sure seemed like Nolan Nash was determined that he was simply not going to be denied. From the very first ball he threw on the show today, he was aggressive, he was accurate, he kept his speed up, and, well, back-to-back 10-strike games pretty much says it all. This was his day. But there is one more item left to check off his to-do list today, and that's to sit down and visit with us. And while he's there, we'll get him to sign the coveted trophy pin. Nolan Nash, this is something you're not accustomed to seeing. A pin that's standing up. They all seem to fall down when you're throwing it.
Well, sometimes.
Sometimes. Well, that's 2 in a row. You just won the April Points Tournament on the heels of the adult youth in March. I kind of had a feeling this was coming on for a while. You've been close all year, knocking on the door, and then you go bang, bang, 2 in a row. Nice going.
Thank you.
What happened today? You started out with, what, 8-0
804.
this morning and just kept it rolling.
Yeah, I think new ball helps a little bit. I just think staying consistent throughout the whole day was probably the way to go. Making smart decisions, like I said last time.
Well, you made a lot of smart decisions and you made a lot of real good shots. And now you get to put your name on the pin for a second time. Congratulations, the champion of the Division I stepladder here at the April Points Tournament of the KCO here in Leavenworth, Kansas.
I was joking with some of the kids at League yesterday in Olathe. I told them, you need to come bowl the KCO. We're in Leavenworth. The problem is, if you finish last, we're going to leave you at the prison. We're not leaving you at the prison.
Okay.
You sent everybody to the bowling prison today. Congratulations.
Thank you.
As I mentioned earlier in the show, the group to our right, bowling on lanes 17 and 18, were the contestants in Division 2. Here's how their stepladder finals played out. In the opening match, the 5 seed, Bryce Isaacson, defeated the 4 seed, Kayla Hedges, who you saw win the Division 2 title in Lawrence back in January. The score in that opening match, 232 to 159. That sent Bryce into a match against Bailey Kane, and Bryce took that one 213 to 163. Then in the semifinal match, Bryce kept his winning ways going, defeating the 2 seed, Braden Ebeling, 187 to 167. And in the championship match, Bryce Isaacson completed the sweep to win all 4 matches and run the stepladder, defeating tournament leader Logan Bennett by the score of 239 to 224. So congratulations to the Division II winner, Bryce Isaacson. On the next edition of Prodigy Bowlers Tour, you'll see the stepladder finals in Division 4 at the 2023 KCO April Points Tournament here at Crown Lanes in Leavenworth. And we'll also tell you about how the Division 3 and Division 5 stepladders played out. Look for that episode to drop on April 29th, right here on the Brownswick Bowling Channel. After that, there are only 2 more KCOs left in this season's schedule. The May Points Tournament will be held on Sunday, May 7th at Revolutions Lanes and Fun Center in St. Joseph, Missouri. And on June 4th, it's the biggest tournament on the KCO calendar each year, the KCO Invitational, where the big scholarship prizes will be awarded. That'll be at Olathe Lanes East. And in the next couple of episodes of Prodigy, look for us to reveal the details of the season-ending Prodigy Bowlers Tour Tournament of Champions, where we'll award the coveted trophy pin and name the first ever PBAA Player of the Year. You know, we have a Prodigy Facebook group, right? It's where you can keep up on all things Prodigy. From any page on Facebook, type Prodigy Bowlers Tour into the search bar and hit enter. That'll take you to a page where you can submit a request to join the group. You'll be presented with 3 simple questions, and you gotta answer them or your request to join will be declined. There are no right or wrong answers. It's just a way to confirm that you're a real person and not a spam bot. If you want to support the work that goes into producing Prodigy Bowlers Tour, and I do spend upwards of 35 to 40 hours editing each and every show, become a Prodigy patron. Go to www.patreon.com/Prodigy Bowlers Tour. For just $5 a month, you'll get early access to all our full-length shows. And for just $10 a month, you'll get early access, and you'll also get your name in the closing credits as an executive producer of Prodigy Bowlers Tour. But most of all, you'll be helping to affirm that the work that goes into producing this show is worthwhile. Remember to leave a thumbs up on this page, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us grow Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Thanks again for watching. That's it for this edition of Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Until next time, this is Coach Randy, wishing you all the best on and off the lanes. Now, go get your bowl on.
Announcing the 2023 Prodigy Bowlers Tour Tournament of Champions. This tournament is open to all KCO champions who win their title in the featured divisions showcased this season on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. By the time the season is complete, we will have covered 10 KCO tournaments. September, October, November, December, January, then we missed the one in February because I was in the hospital, then the 2 tournaments in March, and the ones in April, May, and the KCO Invitational in June. That's 10 KCOs. At each event, we covered 2 divisions, Division 1 at each event, and then 1 other division in the undercard show each month. So we could have as many as 10 handicap champions and 10 scratch champions eligible to enter the Prodigy TOC. Well, we won't actually have 10 scratch champions because we've already had a couple of multiple winners, but you get the idea. All the kids who have signed the coveted trophy pin are eligible to bowl in the Prodigy Tournament of Champions. Here's how it'll work. All these champions will bowl a 3-game qualifier. The handicap division will bowl with handicap of 75% of the difference between their average and 200. And the Division 1 winners will, of course, bowl scratch. The top 4 in the handicap division and the top 4 in the scratch division will claim guaranteed spots in their respective division stepladder finals. And the remaining kids who fail to finish in the top 4 will still have a chance to make the stepladder. They will then bowl a scratch wildcard round consisting of Prodigy's famous single ball eliminator format, where each player throws 1 ball per frame, with the player getting the low pinfall in the frame being eliminated. Then we move to the next frame and repeat the process until only 1 player is left standing, and that player will claim the 5th spot in the stepladder finals. So everyone will appear on the show and everyone will have a chance to win. Even the player who finishes last in qualifying can rally to grab the 5th spot in the wildcard round and go on a run. It's literally anybody's ball game. We'll crown a TOC champion in both divisions. The winner in the handicap division will be presented with the Hunter Moffitt Award, so named because Hunter won the very first handicap event telecast on Prodigy back in 2017. And the winner in the scratch division will be presented with the Charles Bostic Award, so named because Charlie won the most Prodigy events in our first season and won the first coveted trophy pin. Then, those 2 champions will face off in a single-game handicap match where the handicap bowler will receive pins in the amount of 75% of the difference between their entering average and 200, and the winner of that match will claim the 2022-23 coveted trophy pin. This unique format guarantees that one of the handicap players and one of the scratch players will be vying for the coveted trophy pin at the end of the day. We'll also present an award to the player that we select as the first ever PBAA, that's Prodigy Bowlers Across America, Player of the Year, determined by a vote of our Blue Ribbon panel and you. That's right, Prodigy viewers will get a vote in our selection. Stay tuned for details on how you can vote for the player you think should be honored as our first ever PBAA Player of the Year. It's a brand new format for the one major held each year on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. It's the 2023 Prodigy Bowlers Tour Tournament of Champions, Sunday, June 11th at Olathe Lanes East in Olathe, Kansas. That's 1 week after the KCO Invitational. If you're a youth bowler who's won a championship on Prodigy Bowlers Tour this season and signed the coveted trophy pin, you're eligible for the Prodigy TOC and will receive your invitation soon. So mark your calendar now for June 11th, 10 a.m. at Olathe Lanes East. It's the 2023 Prodigy TOC, the season's last hurrah. Who will claim the coveted trophy pin?